You guys asked for it. You guys demanded it. Planetary blueprints are officially here. Like that. The following video has been approved by the JD marketing team. The video has been rated JD. The following video may not be suitable for all viewers. Good morning and g'day mate, and welcome back to Dyson Sphere with me, JD. Now, today we've got a few things we need to take care of. First things first, we're on our Arcrux 1. We're on Arcrux 1, being our power planet. Now, I've done some things, and we did cover some of these in previous episodes. Done some things, got things up and running somewhat, because we need to make power from here. So we started firing up some Dyson rings. Not Dyson spheres, Dyson rings. Because I really wanted this view. I wanted this view. I wanted to have a planet which had a Dyson sphere on one side of the planet and on the other side of the planet. But there's a catch. We spent all the time, we spent all the effort, we got all the maths, and as you can see, I've raised up, and then we're about to start falling away. Well, actually, no, we're going to keep raising right through the rings. Yes, right through the rings. Because it's not quite perfect. It's not quite perfect. We put in all the effort. We worked out the exact inclination. We worked out how close we could get this side and this side of our Dyson rings to make some two Dyson spheres. So we had a planet that orbited between two Dyson spheres, and then if we go to map view and we zoom all the way out and we click on the sun, so we're actually using that as the point of view, rotate to north, and then we have a look, we can see that Arcrux 1, which I haven't renamed yet. By the way, I'm still looking for some good suggestions for naming for this system. Currently, it's like New Homeworld Mark II. By all means, down in the comment section, if you have a good name for our new system, by all means, leave it down in the comment section below. That would be very much appreciated. But back to our problem, you can see that we're coming closer to the rings here. And then over here, it's a little bit hard to see, but this is us falling outside the rings. And then we're going to keep going around, and back around this side, we go above the rings again. So we're not quite lined up with the rings. So what I've done, and you'll notice this over here, is I've started playing with, I'll show you in a second, but I've started playing with the offset, okay? The orbital, the ascending node. This is going to get a little bit confusing. I hope you've played Kerbal Space Program in the past, but we're going to pick, I don't know, it doesn't really matter what this number is. We're at 6.25, roughly, is our orbit inclination, which is what the planet is. And then we're playing with the longitude of the ascending node. So the ascending node is this part here. At how many degrees around the sun does it pass from below the sun to above the sun? Pretty much. And I'm playing with different numbers. The number I'm actually shooting for at the moment is 15 degrees. I tried 10. Yes, I've already tried 10. 10 was closer, but not quite. And actually, I can layer these on top of one another. So if we do 36068, it gets really hard to see what's what. But that's our new target. If I turn on... Can I just show orbit number 7? Add orbit. No, I can't. Cool, because all those lines definitely help game. What we'll do is we'll delete, and we'll delete, and then add orbit. We want 36068, 6.25, and a longitude of 15 degrees. Now, I think I'd already done 10 degrees, and 10 degrees was closer, but not quite. So it means it's either going to be 15 degrees or it's going to be 12.5 degrees, just to spite me. But I'm thinking it's 15 degrees. So we're going to start shooting here, which is now going to be orbit number 2. We're going to find our our cannon boom booms, and we're going to go set them up. Where the hell are they? There we go. They're over in this direction. We're going to set up the cannons to start shooting at orbit number 2. And I'm doing that mainly because it's way cheaper to send up sails. It's not as accurate because, again, if we go out to... Well, actually, you can see it right there. Like, that sphere is a dead straight line, and we can tell that our first one and our second one are dead straight together, but the sails are sort of all over the place. So I've got to get a little bit of a pattern, then, you know, pick an average between the two and go, okay, it's probably about here. So plan is set the cannons up, have them shoot for a little bit, see if that helps line things up. If it does, then we'll start making a couple of more rings, test rings. There will be test rings at the 15 degrees ascending node inclination. Yes, because this is all orbital dynamics, which is, funnily enough, not what Dyson Sphere Program is sort of about, but is, but not. Yeah. All right, so that's the first thing we've done. Second thing I've done is I've set up a whole bunch of charging here on this planet, and I've filled it up with many, many charged accumulators. In fact, I really hope we don't have too many. Set up a whole bunch of... Oh, actually, you guys are finished launching. You know what we might do? We might just... okay, 36068, which you can't launch at, but if I drop you by 1,000, that's the next closest ring. So 6.25, and we'll do a 15 degrees, and we'll hit the create button, and what we'll do... If I turn off all those, like, you can see how close it is. It's not a big distance. And are our cannons firing by any chance? No. So I've done a couple of things to try and line things up. Like, I've waited till the cannons are firing, so then I can see sort of where the planet is to then try and gauge it. But we really need some proper rings to take some exact measurements. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up another ring, just because I literally have rockets right here. So, oh, well, there we go. That's where the planet is. Go away. Yeah, that looks like the planet to be right in the middle. Unfortunately, I started launching the opposite side to the planet, but you know. Alright, so we're going to set that up. That's going to start firing. We'll see how that goes. It looks pretty good. But we've got some other projects we need to do. Okay, so first thing is, wow, they are aimed like straight up. It also means eventually, in theory, with the way orbital dynamics work, is eventually they'll be firing sails literally right here, like right in front. But yeah, I definitely wanted this look with the 2 rings like right in front of us. Anyway, okay, so we've set up power on this planet. I've gone and charged a heap of accumulators. We are producing a nice, tasty 1 gigawatt worth of power. I have, if we go, I don't have a ray receiver on me, no. If we go look at the ray receivers do have plenty of free power. We're only using 1.3 gigawatts out of the 2.8 gigawatts that we have currently. Most of that actually comes from the 2 rings, the now 3rd ring, not so much from the sails, because we don't really care about the sails too much. We're not launching a heap of them. We're mainly trying to get these rings up and running. After the rings are done, you bet we're doing some spheres. We're doing some impressive spheres. But first thing is I want to have some rings, because I do want to make sure that when we start launching, things are all lined up and nice and neat and happy. Okay, so this planet's been doing power. At the same time, I have just tapped every single resource we can and dumping them in unpowered towers. In fact, you're the only one who's powered, which does not have warpers in it, because I want to keep these accumulators inside this system. I don't want them flying back and forth between this system and our home system to go get more power. I really want to keep them 2 of them independent from one another. So that's what's been happening on this planet, and with the general system itself. The other thing that we've been doing is I have been spending a few... Where the hell is it? Where's number 2? There. I have spent just a little bit of time on our second planet. Yep. We'll come in at the North Pole. Okay. Yes, just a little bit of time on our forged world, because this is going to be our forged world. It's going to do just a little bit of smelting. I want it to do basically all the smelting I'm ever going to need, at least for this system, maybe for the whole playthrough. Which means I spent some time and effort, and I really wanted to really make sure that I had a good, predictable build. And well, let me just show you one of these. So, you've got a couple of different resources. Actually, let's start with that. So, you've got a couple of different resources. You have iron, okay, which goes into iron plate for a 1-to-1 ratio, okay? 1 iron ore in for 1 plate out. Nice and simple. Copper. 1 copper ore in for 1 copper ingot out. Nice and simple. Stone brick. 1 for 1 again, okay? These 3 are all 1 for 1. Technically, magnets are a separate problem. We'll talk about magnets probably not even in this episode. Magnets are probably going to be set up separately because they take 1.5 seconds compared to these all take 1 second. Now, there's a couple that don't take 1 second. There is energetic graphene. Energetic graphene takes 2 coal over 2 seconds to make 1 graphene. Same with high purity silicon, is also 2 silicon over 2 seconds to give you 1 high purity silicon. Titanium is also the same. It's 2 over 2 for 1. Steel is 3 over 3 for 1, which is a whole separate build. Glass is also 2 over 2 for 1. And titanium alloy. Titanium alloy is 4, 4, and 8 over 12 seconds for 4, just to, you know, really give you some different maths to look at. So, what I've done, and we'll turn on the light for this one. No, the other light. Thank you. What we've done is I've set up some smelting on this planet. Just a little bit of smelting, okay? And all these are designed the same, and they're tileable. And that was really important to me because I wanted to attempt to blueprint this stuff, okay? I really, really wanted to attempt to blueprint this stuff because I knew how many smelters I'd be building, and I knew how long it would take. At least I thought I knew how long it would take. Turns out it takes a lot longer. But, okay. We have stone, okay? That was one of the 1-to-1-to-1. So we're bringing in stone. We have a tower set up. It does have warpers. It is going to be warp capable because it's going to have to warp out to other systems to go grab stone to bring it back and then make brick, which technically means it can take the brick back to our home system, which is not something I wanted, but it's just this the way it was end up being for me to cram in as much as possible. So this is the way we've gone. Slight flaw. Technically, I could probably bring in stone through a dedicated tower like here. I can have this one bring in, you know, bring in coal, bring in stone, set up ships, set up warpers, and then have the little logistics drones take it the short distance. That's a possibility, but I decided we'll just accept that occasionally things will warp home when really there's a forge planet there that should be able to take care of it. Technically, there's already copper leaving from here to go all the way home when there's a forged planet right beside our home planet that has copper there, has copper plate there, but the game decides to warp stuff across the world. Whatever. Across the world. Across the cluster. Not even a universe. Across the cluster. Okay, so what we're doing, we're bringing out stone. We're bringing out stone. Belt moves 30 items per second. We have 3 little sorters here. One's going in. Sorry, hang on. Let's try and get Icarus in the right spot. So this one's going into here. This one's going into here. This one's outputting to here. No, hang on. That goes into there. That goes into there. That one outputs to here. And this one outputs to here. Which gives us a very tight little pattern of sorters. And also, this is 15 long on either side. Which means this is 30 long total, which meaning using 1 item per second means it's going to exhaust the belt by the time it gets to the end. And this tower is supporting 1, 2, 3, 4. On top of that, I have used our blank space because I was going to use substations, and then I really, really hated the fact that they stuck up in the air. It looks cool when you first look at them, but when you go visit a planet and you have these things sticking up in the air everywhere, really, really annoying. Also, they actually use a significant amount of power, and they don't really save any space in smelter arrays. So I decided to go away with the satellite substations. I also found a mod that makes sure they're grounded, so it only floats that high, which I really, really like. I Honestly, devs, I know you guys probably put a lot of hard work into making the substations float as high as they do. They float too high. They're way too high. The fact that they're over, you know, interstellar logistics stations and everything else, that they need to be like this height, like half the height of a interstellar station. Yeah, okay. They need to be way shorter. Bottom line. Okay. So I decided not to go with those. I decided to go with just power poles, and it turns out that I can get a couple of power poles down one side, which will power up this whole side. And then on this side, there was enough room in here to put in some solar panels, which I figured, like, we're on a forged world. We're going to use a lot of power. So I should probably do what I can to have as much power as I can. We're still going to have to import power, don't get me wrong. But if I can produce something, I might as well. So I filled up this area with solar panels. And then I found out my puny little power poles didn't get power over to here fully. So I then had to rip up solar panels to put in normal power poles, and then realized that a wind turbine, click that one, move that out of the way. A wind turbine produces power, also gives a power area of effect. This is one of the reasons I use them on outposts so often, and kills two birds with one stone, because my other option was I put one of these everywhere. And I could fit in three extra solar panels. But I liked that look instead. Also, with blueprinting, it meant I laid in the solar panels first, and then every third solar panel I removed and put in with a wind turbine instead. So, we have smelter block 1, smelter block 2, smelter block 1, power, smelter block 2, little power poles, smelter block 3, power, smelter block 4, little power poles. Rinse and repeat all the way around the planet, and you will notice, if the power pole gets out of the way, we'll go to this, which one? Which one? Hey! You have an important line. Okay, so you'll notice that this fits in perfectly between here and this next line that runs all the way up the planet unbroken. So it's fitting in between one of these, okay? And you might notice that if we zoom out to, does map view work? No, probably not. Can I just put you there as a marker? So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 per quarter of the planet. And it fits in perfectly up to here. So that means for the top half of the map, I have 5, 10, 15, 20. I have 20 smelters, each of them doing 4 belts worth of material. So what's that? 120? 120, whatever resource it happens to be. Now, you might notice I have coal up here, which is technically the wrong recipe because it takes 2 seconds. So it technically shouldn't be in this build. But I figured I had so many smelters, why the hell not? So this takes care of our simple things. Our iron, our copper, our brick, yes. Okay, we have some more complicated things, some slightly more complicated things that take 2 seconds. Those ones are built down here, further down the planet. Now, what I've done is, again, if we just grab something to build with, I've started at the halfway planet. So this is the halfway of the planet. So this is the equator, and I think the meridian, the other meridian going that way. Let's find one of those because that's where I started. Haha, here. Okay. So I started here. Like this is like, you know, let's start at 1/4 of the planet and work our way around. So I started here, and then I put down these towers as close to one another as I could get them, because I knew I'd have some issues trying to get the belts out. And then for these particular ones, this is these guys take 2 seconds and only produce 1. So rather than having a build that's 30 long, we now have a build that's 60 long. So you get all your resources. You know, this side gets all the resources, this side gets all the resources, outputs in the middle, and flows back into the tower. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 1. Hang on. Can we just set you to something, just for demonstration? Which one's missing? That one. Cool. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines out, so we're still looking for 120 items per second to bring 60 of our finished product back in. So again, just plain and simple, this comes to this tower, this side also comes to this tower, and then here we have a nice more simple build, a more even build. We set you to titanium as well. Would help if I actually set the filters on all of these. I've done so many of these. Like, some of them have filters, some of them don't have filters. You'll probably find some smelters don't have recipes set. That's probably going to come back to haunt me, but I decided halfway through that I'm like, nope, there is no way I'm going to need this much titanium or this much silicon. I'll probably end up eating those words, but yes, so same story. We have titanium coming out here, 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 and feeding this build, and then this one has, again, if we just set that to titanium. No, I'm not lucky enough that I had preset filters. That filter, that filter. I don't know why I keep opening my inventory. Oh yes, this one's offset, that's why. That's why those two are so close to one another. So yes, that filter and that filter. And again, just you know, that's 2, 4, 6. That's 6 belts of titanium in, or 6 belts of whatever material it happens to be in. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I think it's 6. No, it's 5. Okay, it's 5 per half of the planet. Okay, these don't spread around quarters; they don't spread around halves. So we got 5 for half the planet. So that's 5 rows of 3. That's, or 5 lots of what did I say? 60, 120, 180. So 5 lots of 180, which is maths, a lot of smelting. So that'll handle my items like, well, titanium, silicon, which we just flew over, and we're about to fly up to glass. No, glass is further around. Glass is up there. Okay, so that covers a lot of the materials. Now, I do have a couple of other materials that I haven't covered yet. We have steel and we have titanium ingots. So steel, and technically we have magnets. Magnets, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Technically, I could turn one of these into magnets. Technically, these would be too big for magnets, so I don't know. I do also technically, if we find the closest I can put one of these guys, whoop, is there. I do technically, you come 3 tiles past. 3 tiles? 2 tiles. Is that right? No. That's right. I do technically have all this room. Oh, plus a power pole. There we go. I do technically have all this room in the middle. So that is, with the measuring tape, 35 tiles. 35 tiles worth of free space down the middle of the equator. That the only thing I have here currently is energy exchanges. And technically I could probably fit a good portion of them up here. I could also put magnets up here. I haven't made a decision yet. So there is room for expansion. There is room for ideas. There is room for magnets, okay? But there's also room for steel. So, steel. In Factorio, and we're going to go back to Factorio for a second, and I just want to explain this, because it's something sort of dawned on me whilst building all these smelters. And I think it's just part of Factorio wisdom flowing into 400's maybe a little bit much. Whatever, 42. Okay. Factorio wisdom, which has flowed into Dyson Sphere, which has been better, more correct than incorrect. But in Factorio, what we do is we do direct insertion, okay, for iron plate into steel, which is perfectly correct. And the reason we do this in Factorio is it saves this one belt segment in the middle. Well, technically, because Factorio has inserters, right, we actually build a belt, then we put a smelter 1 tile away because we need to put an inserter in that gap. Then we build you 1 tile away, and then we put another 1 tile gap for the inserter. So you end up with 6 tiles for 2 lots of smelters, plus 1 tile in the middle, 7, plus 2 tiles for 2 more inserters, which is 9 tiles, plus the 2 belts, which are 11 tiles. And doing direct insertion definitely makes sense in Factorio because, you know, you're at 11 tiles. If you didn't do direct insertion, okay, and you had a belt, a smelter, which needs a gap for its inserter, then you had another gap for another inserter for an output, and then even if you use the same belt for the input, like even if you use the same belt for the input to save yourself a tile and you just had them offset, meaning that any steel you had, any excess iron that wasn't being turned to steel, you could still use and access, you'd still be 13 tiles wide, okay? And this is Factorio logic. Here in Dyson Sphere, because we don't need to leave those extra tile gaps, we technically can do that, and it still remains the same width. Like you can't make it any shorter because you don't need to leave that tile for sorters. I hope this is sort of making sense, but it made me realize something very, very critically important, that having direct insertion just means I'm reserving a certain amount of iron ore that I'm converting an iron plate to go to steel. It's not available anywhere else. It can't be used for anything else. It has to go into steel. Which made me think, hang on, why not just smelt iron wherever I'm smelting iron? Like, obviously this happens to be brick. Bad choice, JD. But smelt iron and then fly the iron here and turn it into steel. And at least then the iron's available if the steel doesn't need it. If the steel does need it, okay, it's not available. But it's not going to really change anything. It's not going to take up any extra space or anything like that. So I built steel right here. Now, technically, these are still 60 long. So they're not going to produce 30 items per second. It's going to be 20. But that's still 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120. That's 120 steel per second. Which should be heaps. Really, really, really should be heaps. So, did steel. The other thing that I did, I just realized how long and how much wafting I've done. Everything can go away. The other thing I had to do was titanium ingots. Titanium ingots, they are 60 long, which is not enough to fill a belt. Actually, it might be enough to fill a belt. I don't know. I can't remember. But titanium ingots, if we look at the recipe here, it takes a really long time to craft, number one. Number two, it takes a lot of titanium, a lot of steel, and an awful lot of acid. And when I originally built it, I was building it trying to get my three outputs. So my steel, my titanium, and my acid down one side, and then also my steel, my titanium, and my acid down the other side. And I ran out of outputs for my towers, and I started having to juggle things around. And I thought to myself, no, this is just, it's too much. I looked at the maths, and it turns out I'm using almost a whole belt of acid for 30 smelters, 60 smelters. How many are here? 60 smelters. So what I end up, actually, I think it's 28 smelters. No, well, maybe it's 60. I can't remember. So, yeah. No, it's 28 or 29 per side. I don't know. We'll find out shortly. So what I decided is I'd have a dedicated acid line, and then my titanium and my steel, which we've only used 0.4 of a belt. When they go to the end, I just wrap them around and run them straight back up the build. Oh yeah, this is a little bit short. I think this is 28 smelters, just because I needed more room for belts. So, yeah, I wrapped the iron and the steel back up, which means these three belts do this side and do most of this side, and I just need to run a separate acid belt out to get my titanium ingots. Also means these three, that one, and that one also run this side, and most of this side with the input going back into this machine, and this one just supports the acid for the last of this build, so on and so forth, so on and so forth, so on and so forth. So, I'm hoping we have enough titanium ingots. We don't really use a lot of titanium ingots for science. I think there's one item that really... that one. Yeah, that really likes them, and that only affects us if we're making rockets, but we're going to be making a lot of rockets. So, ooh, how long did it take you to do this, Jetty? About 6 hours. Honestly, with all the mods helping, being able to, you know, click and drag out the belts and then copy the smelters with the sorters attached, drag them across and have them dumped down, it still took about 6 hours. And then I thought about doing the other side of the planet, and I was just defeated, honestly. So what we're going to do is we're going to try a new method, and I've already prepped our work canvas. You might notice that there is no ore on this side of the planet. I have gone and buried all the ore. I haven't filled in any of the lava yet. I'm going to fill in the lava when we're done. But I've buried any of the ore because I've found a way to blueprint things. And it sort of works. I was really hoping I could use it to tile out my smelters, because they're 100% copyable. You know, we can tile them out, that's not a problem. In Factorio, not an issue. Dyson Sphere, with the current mods, definitely an issue. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up to the North Pole, land here. We're going to make sure I have materials on me. So I'm going to go to here. I'm going to grab all the smelters I can possibly fit in my inventory. Cool. We're then going to open this. Now, this is called... Oh, boy. Let me just get the name, because I know you guys are going to be asking. Copy Planet Factory. Now, as you can see, it's not written by a native English speaker. So there's a little bit of guesswork that went into using this mod. But what we want to do is we're going to copy from the local planet. So I'm going to click local planet, which brings up this nice GUI. And the GUI is very, very handy. And what we want to do is we want to do an area select. And I do not want to obviously copy anything on the South Pole. I also don't really need to copy these towers. So these are these towers going around the equator. Definitely don't need to copy those. And over here, I have my energy exchanges. I don't need to copy those either. So we're going to use this marker and drag that up and hope to just clip the top belt, because I do definitely want to make sure I get all the power poles all the way around the planet. Yeah, I prefer to have too much rather than not enough. So I definitely want that. On top of that, I don't really need anything at the North Pole. So we're going to slide that down a little bit. And we're going to grab that. Now, I can rotate the planet around. Ooh, I got to remember that we click directly through the GUI. That's very, very dangerous. Yeah, let's go over here. So I can rotate the planet around and look at where my line's cut off. And the idea is we're going to cut from there to there. So we're going to call this Forged in Fire. Okay, I'm going to say copy selected area. I hope that worked. Copy selected area. Save. Hey! So we have config planet factory data. So this is a log file. And I will warn you, like, there are certain parts. I cannot touch this GUI. If I touch it, it disappears and never comes back. Okay? So then I want to go to Forged in Fire. We're going to click on that. And we're going to look at this. And what I actually want to do is I want to mirror. So it's not really a blueprint as such. It does mirroring. And it mirrors whole planets. So like if you go to a planet and every single time you land on a planet, you automatically put down half a dozen interstellar logistics stations and set them with certain recipes and all those sorts of things, and put down, you know, a certain amount of starting power, then this mod might be for you, okay? Because it means you can go out to any planet and just click one button and they'll all be pasted down. If you don't have the materials, that's fine. They'll be marked to be put down. And then it's your job to make sure you get the materials in your inventory and then, you know, click some buttons and things happen. But in our case, we're going to try and paste this on the other half of the planet. Now, I will mention a couple of things before we go any further. It ignores collision, okay? So it's going to place buildings straight over lava. It doesn't care. So there's that. On top of that, all the sorters, if you remember back to CopyInserter mod, when it first came out, how all the sorters were on the short side of the belt, it does that. So it has some graphical glitches, but apart from that, it works great. And what we're going to do is we're going to click that button. which should have pasted down everything it possibly can. On top of that, the way Dyson Sphere works is if it's in your inventory and it's been put down, it doesn't exist anymore in your inventory. So if I come back up to here and I grab a few of those and then I click replenish item, they all disappear. They've all been added. I know it's really hard. Oh, there we go. They've all been added to the list of things here. And I can have, I've got this little list here, so I need 232 wind turbines. So if we find, actually you don't say smelters anymore. Let's have less smelters. Okay. I need Tesla towers, 750 something. Yeah, about that many. Okay. I needed solar panels, 600. Yeah, and we'll drag that request right the way down. And we'll click replenish item, which will make it all disappear out of my inventory and disappear off this list. And wind turbine 240. Sure. Replenish item. So they've all disappeared. They've all been pasted or at least ghosted down on the planet. Now, couple of other things I need to do. I need to grab belts, obviously, and we're going to need to grab just a few sorters. Just a few. Okay, so couple of things I need to mention before we get started, because I'm going to time-lapse some of this, not all of this, because I still think it's going to take me probably a couple of hours to get this done. So, Forge and Fire Blueprint, there is 8,000 buildings. 0 complete so far. Good, we're off to a great start. We have waiting pour. What is a pour? We have a building pour. What is a pour? We have belt queue, 28,000 belts. So I need to go pick up a few belt runs once or twice. Yeah. Pours are actually sorters. Believe it or not. So I have no idea. I'm guessing it's a lost in translation issue. But pours are sorters, and of course they don't get ghosted down till both the building is there and the sorter is there. And you might notice, you can see that blue line is belts. It doesn't put down all the belts at once. It only goes down a certain amount of belts and starts obviously at the equator and works its way up. So I'm going to have to fly around the equator. Well, I'm going to have to fly around the map many, 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 many times as more belts get put down. But it only puts down a certain amount of belts, probably to not overload the game. And then adds them as the belts arrive. So with that said, I think you're done. You can go away. I think you're... I want this. Okay, we're going to have to put that up there. That part I can touch. Okay. And then I think we're going to do a bit of a time lapse. And I'm done, and Icarus is done, as you can see. After, I don't know how long, but after, what was it, 30,000 belts, plus the belts in the inventory, so 28,000 plus the belts in the inventory, which is like, 5 or 6,000, plus, I don't know, 20-odd thousand sorters, plus 8,000 smelters, we're done. We're done. Well, Icarus is done, definitely done. He's gone and had a warmed up in a lava barbecue. Yep. He's just gonna recharge for a minute. So we now have our forged world, both our top half, which is already set up, right? It already has set up. It already has ships in it and all that sort of stuff. And now the bottom half, yeah, North Pole, South Pole. Yes. So now the South Pole's also set up. It does have like all the requests are set. There's no ships. Some of the belts have shenanigans in them because I copied things which were, well, there were ore up here that I didn't remove. So there's that. On top of that, all these patches that I've buried, I really want to unbury them, clear off the smelters, and then put some miners on there. Because we might as well mine the local planet. Like, there's 50 million iron here. Same with copper. Not a lot of silicon, plenty of titanium, not a lot of stone, not a lot of coal. But we might as well mine it. So as long as it's not really, really, really under a tower and in my way, I need to raise the ore up. I need to get some miners around it, hopefully with as little disruption to the smelting rows as possible, and start mining. On top of that, we're going to have to do something about... Come on in, Chris. Maybe I'll give you some antimatter. Sheesh. You're demanding. Maybe we need to do something about power, because this is idle, don't forget. Oh, actually, no, we're still on 2 power networks. I need to join the 2 power networks together, because I don't think they join just yet. So we'll put... Whoa. Okay. Without hitting Alt first, so the mod doesn't fire up. Let's just put one there and one there. So they're definitely on the same network. No, we were already on the same network. Okay, we're using 400 megawatts worth of power at idle. Like, there's a couple of ships moving, there's a couple of smelters running, because for whatever reason, like I said, Australis is demanding resources from here. Even though, and I've been and checked whilst building the Forge World, there are smelters there that are more than capable and are full and are happy. It's just the game is not terribly smart at choosing the closest logistics tower. It just picks the first one off a list, which is, yeah. On top of that, speaking of things that we've also been doing, so I still have lots of work I need to do here, like lots of work. Raising resources, definitely. Raising resources, number 1, putting miners on them, number 2, so on and so forth. On top of that, let's just, do I not have, hello? I was still in the planet's gravity well. Yeah, let's just warp across to number 1. At the same time, I can thank the sponsors of this particular video. That's you guys for hitting that like button. So do me a favor and go forward, Icarus. Hit that like button for me. We have... It's going to be really hard to see. And it's only if the ring is complete. And I do not know if it is. So we have our first 2 rings, being these 2. But then we have this other ring. This other ring that's inset to our first ring. And if I can find out where the hell it is... Haha! It is that one. It's the top one. It's the top one. Which you might notice if I find out where the hell a pole is. Not that the pole really counts, because the planet does have a tilt on it. I went too far. But you can see that that ring looks like it's just about straight with where we are. Okay? And more importantly, if I scroll out and click on that, north, and try and get the view correct. Yeah, so that plane looks straight to me, and it looks like that line lines up with that plane. On top of that, I did put solar cells up into the same plane, and they seem to look like they match up. So I think this is our new ring. You know, it's almost complete, and then hope for the rockets to start working on the outer one. It does mean that I'm probably going to go delete the first 2 rings just to confirm, because we know they're definitely wrong. We know that, you know, these 2 up here are definitely wrong. So hopefully this new one is correct, but it definitely, like, looking here, side on, which is where these had the most deviation, that looks dead straight. Around here at the back, still looks dead straight. And around this side, still looks dead straight if I line up all the orbits. Maybe it's a little bit high. Maybe it's a little bit high. The only way I'm going to know is by clearing out all the other junk in the orbits and building the second ring. So, what I need to do is I need to do a whole bunch of work still to get our smelting planet back up and running. Then we need to work out how to power it. At the same time, I need to set up another ring to launch from here and get more rockets into the sky. Where are the rockets? Over there. They have however many to go. Actually, they're almost done. I guess they're almost done with the inside one. Then they'll move on to the outside one. And these guys are... I've done more test orbits. Yep. Whilst waiting for materials to come in. So, what I'm trying to say is I'm calling it here for this episode. I don't know how long the episode has been. I know how long I've sat in this chair to get this done. And it's been quite some time. This whole episode has been like 10 hours from start. Well, from prep work to now... to finish is done. I've also covered the lovely Copy Planet Factory mod. I gotta say, I'm uninstalling it. It works great as a concept. It's great as a first starting point for blueprinting. For me, just doesn't quite work. Just not quite. It still needs some work. It still needs to have a better implementation. Actually, no, I think I prefer that with light off. Yeah, it looks better with light off. So it still needs some work, at least for my use case. And yeah, next episode we're going to fire up the Forge planet, and it also means we have number 4. Number 4 is a tightly locked planet. Now we probably still have an issue with Star Cluster. We still have an issue with critical photons. So I'm still not making enough of them. I'm still about 60 short. So it means next episode we're going to be going over to a tidally locked planet. And we're going to start shipping out materials to here. I can cover this guy with, well, ray receivers to get whatever power that our new Dyson rings are going to be outputting. We'll probably get some spheres eventually, but we're going to start off with some rings. And on top of that, I can cover the backside of the planet with many, many rockets because... why not? Hell, I can even cover it with cannons. I didn't think about that. Because we have plenty of rockets at the home system that we can always ship out here. So next episode, we're going to start working on our tightly locked planet. And then I guess we need to pick a new planet to call our home planet to start actually producing, well, everything. Everything. You know, a whole new main base. We don't need to worry about science. But we do need to worry about all the other production. Mainly going to be rockets and sails. Because I want to make some spheres. I want to make some... I definitely want 2 spheres right beside our power planet. And then I want to expand it from there. So, with all that said, this is where I'm going to leave it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you're enjoying. And I will see you guys in the next episode where... Yeah. Oh, by the way, like, if you're here, this is a modded playthrough. Alright, we're playing with mods, so by all means, if you like the idea of Dyson Sphere and mods mixed together, by all means, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because I'm definitely adding more mods. I've got a whole list here I want to look at. One has been recommended to me a lot, all about covering when miners run out of ore, so we'll probably be playing with that one as well in the next episode. But yeah, with all that said, I'm definitely out. Thank you guys so much for watching, do hope you're enjoying, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Alright, bye.